Hey there, John Morris here, johnmorrisonline.com. Welcome back to another episode of The John Morris Show. So today's episode is going to be really sort of straightforward and blunt. I've been talking about the launch week special for my Upwork 101 course, and today is the last day where you can get that course, the entire course, for just $10. Ends tonight at midnight, 11:59 Pacific Standard Time. But let me go in and just tell you, sort of give you all the details of the course, tell you exactly what's in it, the sort of the story behind it, all of that, so you can make a informed decision about whether or not it's something that you want to enroll in and help you to get where you want to go with Upwork. So my sort of experience with this, the story about how this all came together and why I ended up creating this course, started back in February 2013. And this was when Upwork was still Elance Odesk. If you're not familiar, they were two separate companies. They became one company, and then eventually they rebranded, and then they phased out Elance and sort of moved everybody from Elance over to Upwork. So this was in the period when it was still Elance Odesk, but it's the same company and sort of the same principles behind how the system works today. So I'd been on that just a few months, and like most people that I talked to about this, I hadn't had much luck in those first few months, and I was getting to the point where I was ready to move on. And when I'm in a situation like that, I sort of tend to, my answer to the problems that I face in life is to do research, to look for information. I feel like knowledge is generally the way out of problems that you're facing. So I was doing a bunch of research at the time, and I came across these blog posts that were on their site itself, on Elance Odesk, their site. And those blog posts have now since been deleted, but essentially what they did is they explained their entire client to freelancer matching algorithm, how the rank worked, how the relevance worked, all that sort of stuff, and sort of broke it down exactly how it worked. And it was completely eye-opening to me because it made it obvious to me that I was looking at Upwork in the completely wrong way. And so immediately after reading those blog posts, it became obvious to me what I needed to do. So I went and changed my profile, and almost right away landed my very first gig. And I sort of mentioned this in an earlier video, but that gig was $2,191.78, which was crazy for me at the time to be able to make that much off of a web development project. I landed another project that was around $2,000, and then another and another and another and another, and it sort of just kept on going until eventually I was getting to the point where there was so much work that I had available that I could take advantage of, that I had to, and I was getting invited to so many jobs that I had to turn off my availability, because it can start to hurt you if you don't apply to these jobs that you're getting invited to. So I had to turn off my availability and turn it on for maybe a day or two. And then I would start getting invited to a bunch of jobs again, and then I'd have to turn it off again while I was delivering on those and so forth. And so that was sort of my initial experience where I discovered all of this and learned what worked, and then took that forward with me for, the rest of the freelancing that I did on Upwork. So this Upwork 101 course is really pretty simple. I show you what I learned that day about those algorithms, and then what I learned going forward from that, being invited to so many jobs and having to write proposals and not being very good at it at first, and then figuring it out and all that, so that I could not only get invited to a bunch of jobs, but be able to bid on and have the confidence to bid on the jobs that I really wanted to bid on, and then also get hired for them. So that's ultimately what this course is. Now, to break it down very specifically, I want to go through the lessons that you're actually going to get access to, what you're actually going to learn. So the first off is we're going to talk about just the overall strategy. I call this the rank higher than you should strategy, leveraging relevance, how this is different than a lot of strategies that you'll see out there when it comes to having success on Upwork. Then we're going to run through just a number of profile building sort of basics. So how to create your profile picture. And I actually talk about some of the things that matter, that are going to make your picture stand out more than others, and how you can go about creating a really good profile picture even if you're not a professional photographer. Writing your title and your tags, very important for how you show up in the search listings and suggested freelancer and all of that, not only for how you rank, but also making it something that people want to click. Also, how to write a believable overview, something that when a client reads, they believe what you're saying and they believe that you are the best person for their particular project. We'll talk about recording a profile video intro if you want to do that. I leave that as optional, but it's definitely a good way to set yourself apart, and we'll talk about how you can do that in a much easier way than you might imagine. We'll also talk about how to create a portfolio, some of the key points about what your portfolio needs to have in it, and also how to create a portfolio even if you don't have previous client work, because you can do that. We'll talk about how to do that. And then we'll go through all the stuff, sort of the tests, the certifications, the employment history, all of the rest of the stuff on your profile that's important. What sort of tests you should take, what certifications you should put on there, which ones you shouldn't, what tests you shouldn't take, all of that sort of thing. We go through that in detail, step by step, and show exactly how to build a profile that is really attractive to clients, but also helps you rank higher in Upwork than you would probably based off of just what your natural rank is from your job success score and so forth. So that's really the first section of the course. Then we get in the second section where we start talking about proposals. And I go through a number of things. First off, we talk about this whole idea of the numbers game, because when it comes to proposals and picking the jobs that you bid on, a lot of people approach it from a numbers game perspective. When we talk about why that's a big mistake and how you switch from playing that numbers game to playing a quality game, so you're not involved in that race to the bottom. You can sort of exit from or escape from that whole game, and it comes down to about the way you approach the jobs you bid on, how you bid on them, and so forth. So we talk about that. We talk about trust as a strategy, and really get in depth into sort of what trust is, why it's so important. We talk about the trust threshold that clients have and how you can move up that threshold, where you need to get to in order to get over the hump of them wanting to hire you, and so forth. So we dive into all that. Then we get into some of the technical stuff on Upwork, so how to find the best jobs consistently on a day after day basis. I've talked about this sort of in past videos, but how to break down a project description and pull out the key hiring factors, how to write a proposal that appeals to those hiring factors, proves it in a way that is undeniable to the client. I have a whole lesson on building rapport, which deals with the back and forth messaging that's inevitable when you're working with clients in that sort of hiring phase. Oftentimes it's not just one message. There's multiple messages that go back and forth. And so how to build rapport and slowly, methodically move them towards hiring you. We also talk about how to price your project. So if that's something that you're wanting to learn more about, that's in there as well. Talk about sort of the key thing in terms of asking for the sale, and 3 different ways that you can ask for the sale in an Upwork project, and do it in a way that doesn't come across as sort of pushy or aggressive or salesy. So those are all the lessons that you're going to get access to inside of the course. Now, you might have the question of, okay, that all sounds great, but what are other people actually saying about this course? What are students that have taken the course saying about it? So I've got a few comments here. So I've got this one from Mirza that said, I just wanted to say thanks. I applied your advice when bidding on Upwork and I got my first gig. Just a small 1-hour job, but it's a start, and I got 5 stars from the client. This one's from Ben, says, prior to watching your videos, I had 0 jobs on Upwork. I took your advice and made some changes and got 3 jobs in less than 2 weeks, and it's continuing to build. Thanks, John. This one's from Tazvir, says, hello, John. I just love listening to your videos. I changed my Upwork profile description, and it worked being specific. I work with WordPress. This one from Sarjan says, great course if you're just starting with Upwork. Thanks, John. Muhammad says, great comprehensive course. I learned so much. This one from Dash, excellent overview and explanation of how to build a powerful Upwork profile. I've learned so much from your videos. And this one from Tobias says, John gives great recommendations in an understandable and achievable manner. I'm acting on the actions he recommends and having great success. So those are just a few of the comments that I've gotten on the course. I really haven't got a ton of negative comments. I don't know that I've really gotten any negative comments about the course, which is sort of rare, and I would have no problem addressing those if I had them, but I really haven't got that sort of thing. So people tend to like the course, and I think the biggest thing is that it's just like what I went through. When you see how these algorithms work and you kind of get taken behind the scenes and get to see the inner workings of how Upwork works, it just becomes really obvious what's going on. And then the changes that you need to make become really obvious. So I think that's probably what a lot of people are experiencing. And so, again, if you really want to dive into Upwork, understand how it works, have success on it, and all of that, then I am confident and I believe that this course will help you to do that. So again, as I mentioned, this is the last day for the launch week special. So if you want to get the course, the entire course for just $10, this is the last day that you can do that. That ends at 11:59 tonight p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I would really hate for you to want to get in and miss out on that. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can head on over to Upwork101.com. All the details, links to enroll, all that stuff you can find there. So that's it. I hopefully we'll see inside the course. I look forward to hearing your success story, being able to talk about your transformation and all that with the course. So again, Upwork101.com. All right, that'll do it for this episode. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time.